Hello, hello. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. My name is Diana Mayfield, and I'm the head of content here at DesignFiles. Welcome back for another live workshop. Today, we have our wonderful CEO, Sheilah MacSporran, and she's going to unveil our brand new 3D kitchen design tools and show us her favorite workflows. Welcome, Sheilah.
Hello, I'm happy to be here. I was very excited to get on and present and do this because I feel like we've got a lot of cool new tools that you guys can test out. But you'll have to bear with me because I've been sick for like 10 days. My voice is not great. And then I woke up with a nice fat, swollen pink eye. So I'm on a roll. Yeah. I'm feeling awesome today.
Yeah, dang it. Yeah, we'll be a little froggy today, so pardon little minor coughs here and there. It's that season, so I'm guessing a lot of other people are dealing with that too. Before we hop into the tutorial, did you want to give any context behind the launch of these new features?
Yeah, so I'm glad you actually started off with that, Diana, because one of the reasons that I am very excited about doing this whole webinar is because this is one of, the features that we're about to cover today in this webinar. We've had so many requests from our members to really add in more customizable capabilities within the 3D software so that you guys could handle kitchen designs, and we totally get it. So everything that we're about to cover today, this has come from requests from our members. We are going to be covering a ton of stuff, from having the ability to browse through a huge library of cabinets, the ability to customize those cabinets, change out your hardware, change out your sinks, your faucets, change out the finishes for appliances, build custom kitchen islands. We're really going to dive in and try to cover as much as possible within the session today. If we don't get around to covering everything, then I'll probably just follow up with additional video tutorials. There are already video tutorials that you can check out in the video tutorial library, and it'll walk you through building out your kitchen designs. But we'll try to cover a few new things today as well. And of course, if you have any questions whatsoever, we're going to be doing a Q&A. So be sure to just add your questions to the chat so that we can make sure that we get those. And I guess one last thing that I did want to just say is that if any of you are watching this and you end up having additional questions that for whatever reason we didn't get to in today's session, just know that you can reach out to the customer support team and you can schedule in a 30-minute demo. So Betsy, she's going to be sharing a link in the chat. You guys can use that if you just want to schedule in a 30-minute demo and go through any of the 3D kitchen tools on a one-on-one call, and you'll be able to get the answers you need.
Love that. That's awesome. Okay, so Betsy will be adding that link in, and then we'll share it again at the end too. So yeah, we'll dive right into it and get the software up on the screen here. And then I will disappear and I will come back for Q&A. I said Q&A because I read the P.
Honestly, guys, you're gonna have to bear with us today. We're struggling. Diana, let me know when you have our faces off and when we're good to go.
Okay, yeah, because I think yeah, that's right. We take your face off too. That way it's full screen and people can see it better. Okay, so I am going to. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay, Sheilah, can you talk and see if we can still hear you?
Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Okay, Diana, I can't hear you, so I'm not sure.
We should be good now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so as long as you're seeing my screen, then I can jump right in and get started. I'm going to take that one as a yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so let's just go. Let's dive in. We do have a ton that we are going to try to cover in today's session. So basically, if you have been wanting to create really detailed and custom kitchen designs using DesignFiles, but you found that you just didn't have the tools that you needed within the 3D software before, you should find that you're able to actually pull together very custom kitchen designs now using all these great new features. Now, we did launch this, I'm going to say, I don't know, maybe it was a couple of weeks ago. So if you've had a chance to get in there and experiment with it, then that's great. If you haven't had a chance to get in and experiment with this yet, then that's what today's session is going to be all about. We're basically going to build out a kitchen from start to finish so that you can see how you would go about doing this. And if we've got any additional time towards the end of this session, we're also going to touch on maybe some additional tips for how you can handle doing curved structures within your kitchen designs as well, like these curved countertops. So we're going to try and touch on that as well. Now, the way that I'm going to do this is I basically thought, let's see here, I'm going to recreate this kitchen here within this demo. The reason I wanted to do this one is because it requires a lot of the functionality that is brand new to the system, and I want to make sure that you guys see as much as possible. To make this a faster process, I've basically just kind of stripped this kitchen down to the shell of the overall space, and then we're going to rebuild out specific sections. Now, I did leave this one in mainly because as I build out this wall with all of the kitchen cabinets, I'd basically just be using the exact same steps for this wall that I'm going to use here. And I want to make sure I'm not spending too much time repeating things, but we're covering a variety of different aspects of building kitchens. Now, the key thing that you guys want to be aware of whenever you're coming into the 3D floor planner to create your kitchen designs is that the first thing that you do want to do is just go ahead and draw out your floor plans. Okay, so you're going to draw out all of your walls. You're going to add in any windows, doors, and structural elements to the space. And then you can start populating it with all of your kitchen cabinets and build out your kitchen islands and everything else. Now, if you haven't tested out the 3D kitchen functionality lately, you'll probably notice that it's also been completely reskinned. So over here on the right side panel, you're going to scroll down and you're going to see that there's a new section for kitchen cabinets. So if you go into that, you're going to see that you've got base, tall, and wall cabinet libraries. And if you click into any of these, you're going to see that it's loaded with a variety of different kitchen cabinets and different configurations and different sizes. Now, to make it easy to kind of narrow in and find the appropriate cabinets, you're going to notice that everything's logically ordered. So you can see here with the base cabinets, we're starting with all the 1 doors, and then we move into the 2 doors, the 1 door, 1 drawer, and then everything that comes after it. And each of the configurations is all grouped together. So you can see all the individual sizes that are available to you, and you can pull out the ones that are going to be best suited for your designs. Now, for any of these libraries, it's basically going to cover all of the kind of standard cabinets with doors and drawers. But if you scroll through further, you're going to see that there's also cabinets that have built-in sinks and faucets. There's also cabinets that have built-in appliances as I go down here. So there's a variety of options to choose from. And at the bottom of every single one of these cabinet libraries, you're going to find the filler cabinets. Now, the filler cabinets come in handy when you're kind of, let's say you're building out a kitchen design and you've got a cabinet here, but you've got a tiny little gap here that's maybe 5 inches and you want to fill that gap. That's where the filler cabinets come in really nicely because you can actually adjust the width to whatever you need to fill any of those gaps and make everything have more of a complete and finished look. But we can talk a little bit about that one just a bit later. So for now, what I thought we would do is we'll just go ahead. We're going to dive in and I'm going to start building out this section of the kitchen. So we're going to add in some cabinets. We're going to customize them. And then over here, I'm actually going to build out a structural frame that's going to house the fridge because I didn't want the fridge to look kind of standalone. I didn't want to see the sides and the top. I wanted it to all feel built in. So we'll touch a little bit on that. But to begin with, let's go ahead and we're going to add in some cabinets. Now, in this particular design, I'm going to pop into the tall cabinets here. And again, you're going to see that there's loads of different options that are available to you. The one that I'm looking for is the double oven option, and you're going to find it down here towards the bottom of the library. Now, it also comes in a variety of different sizes. The size that I'm going for is the 30 wide by 84 high, so I'm going to take this in. Now, whenever I bring a cabinet into my floor plan, if you're kind of placing your cabinets, I would say that it's easier to place your cabinets in the floor plan view than in the perspective view. The only reason I say that is because when I'm in the floor plan mode, I can see everything square on. And as I bring my cabinets up to the walls, you're going to see that they rotate so that the back of the cabinet meets with the wall. So it actually kind of snaps to the wall a bit. and then it allows you to get a nice tight fit wherever you're placing your cabinets. Now, the other thing that you can do here is I could customize this cabinet right away if I wanted to, but I think that that's kind of a waste of time. So I would actually recommend that you get a grouping of cabinets in, and then you can customize them all at once, and then that'll be much faster for you. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go into the base cabinets now, and I'm going to pull out the specific base cabinet that I'm looking for. So I was going to do the 3-drawer one, and I'm going to look for the 24-inch wide. So I'm going to take this one right here. Now, when I bring this in, you're going to notice how it snaps to the other cabinets. So it makes it easy for you to place your cabinets without having to adjust everything and move everything left, right, with the left and right arrows on your keyboard. So it should just be able to snap right into place. Now, the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to exit out of the base cabinets, and I'll go into the wall cabinets. And the one that I'm looking for is a 24-inch wide, but 30 high. So this is it right here. And again, when I bring it in, you're going to notice that it starts to snap and rotate to the wall, and then it'll also snap to the other cabinets within the space. So we'll add these two in. I'm going to switch over to the perspective mode, and we can start to see what this is looking like. Now, at this point, we could start customizing some of these cabinets. So there's a few things that we'll do just to get started. Whenever you're customizing your cabinets, one of the things that you'll want to do is you can click on one of the cabinets, you can hold down Shift, and I guess if you're on a Mac, you're going to hold down Command, and then click on all the other cabinets so that you can select them all at once. Now that you've done that, over here in the right side panel, you're going to see all these different properties that you can use to customize your cabinets. So the first thing that you're going to see right here is that you can change up the door style. Now, I'm actually just going to stick with the flat panel, but if you wanted something like a shaker door style, then you could add that in. There's also raised and recessed, so you can try all these different options to see which style is going to work well for you. And of course, if you also wanted to, you'll see that there's also glass options as well. So you can check out some of those and then just apply whatever designs you want or whatever door styles you want to your cabinets. Now, like I said, in my case, I'm actually just going to stick with the flat panel. So I'll go back to the basic. And one of the other things that I noticed here is that this little handle here for this upper cabinet, it's in the wrong position. So I'm actually just going to select this one cabinet right here. And on the right side, I'm going to come down to the hardware section, and you'll see down here that you have an option that says position. So I'm going to change this from left to right so that I get it into the position that I want. Now, if I want to change up the actual door finish, let's go ahead. We're going to come back here. I've selected all my cabinets again. But below the door style, you're going to see that you can change out the frame finish and the door finish. So key thing to note here is that if you actually wanted your doors to have a different paint or a wood finish compared to the sides and the toe kick, you can actually unlink these here, and then you can apply different finishes to the frame and to the door. If you want it all to be the same, you're going to keep it linked. I'm going to keep it the same. So I'm now going to hit this little edit icon. And here you're going to see that I have my paint library. So I can go into any of these collections and I can add any of these paint colors to the cabinets. Or I could go into the wood finish library right here. And it's got loads of different wood stains in dark finishes, medium, light finishes. So you can have a browse through that and select what you want. Now, the only other thing I'll bring to your attention here is that you've always got your recents library. So if you've used any sort of finishes on other elements within your kitchen, then you can always quickly go into your recents library so you can apply it to other elements within the kitchen. So you can see I'm basically pulling the same teak finish that I had over here. Now, the next thing that we could do here is we can actually choose to change up the hardware. And if you're creating a kind of minimal, kind of clean, modern design, and you don't want any hardware on the actual cabinets, this little checkbox right here, you can just uncheck it and it will remove all of the hardware. In my case, I'm actually going to keep it. So I'm going to leave this the checkbox on. And then down here, you're going to see that I can actually change out the door and the drawer hardware. So if I wanted different handles for my doors compared to what I use on my drawers, then I have the ability to do that. Otherwise, you can just pick the same option from both of the libraries. So we'll click into here, and you're going to see that there's loads of different handle options that are available to you. And if you hover over them, it's going to show you a large image of the actual handle, and it's also going to show you the size. So in my case, I'm going to take this one right here, and we'll just let that get applied. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the drawers. So I'm going to come down here, go into the same library, and then I'm just going to select that same one, and it will apply to all of the cabinets. Now from here, if I wanted to, if I want to change out the hardware finish, here you're going to see that you can do that. Click into this option right here. There's loads of different finishes available to you. So you can just select the ones that you want, and then you'll see how everything gets applied on your design. In my case, I'm just going to stick with standard stainless steel here, but there are a variety of different options available to you. And the other thing that you should be aware of, you don't just have the option to change out the finish of the hardware, you can also change out the finish of the appliances that are built into the cabinets as well. So if I click into this cabinet right here and I come over to the right side panel and scroll down, under the hardware options, you're going to see that there is an option for appliance. In this case, I've got the double oven kitchen cabinet, so I can't change out the appliances in this one. There are other cabinets within the library that have a single appliance or two appliances, and you can switch it between ovens and microwaves and coffee makers. So you can check those out. But you also have the ability to change the appliance finish. So if you wanted all the appliances to have a black finish, then you could go ahead and do that. And again, you've got lots of options here that you can choose from. Now, the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put this on an angle, and let's look at the countertops, because with the new kitchen functionality, I'm just going to select the two cabinets that have the countertops. Now, down here on the right side, you're going to see that I can change up the countertop edge style. So if you want to just jump in and have something that's maybe a little bit more decorative, you could do the DuPont option, and you're going to see how that's going to show on the actual cabinets. So there's a variety of different edge styles that you can choose from, and just go ahead and experiment with those and see which options you want to work with. I'm going to leave mine as the basic option for now. Well, actually, maybe I'll just do a little bit of a softer edge there. And then down here, you're going to see that you can change up the countertop material as well. So if I go in here, there's 4 different libraries that are available to you. You've got your stone library. You're going to see loads of different stone finishes that you can apply. You also have marble slabs, concrete, and wood. Now I'm going to go into the marble slabs, and here you're going to see all the different colors or different types of marble slabs that you can browse through. So you can go into any of those libraries, and when you find one you like, go ahead and click on it, and it will be applied to the countertop. Now, sorry. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention when it comes to the countertop is that you also have this extended overhang. Now, the extended overhang comes in really handy if you're going to be creating custom kitchen islands where you want to extend the cabinet or the countertop out the back so that you have an area where you can slide stools underneath for sitting space. And I'll show you how to do this towards just as we kind of complete the adding of all of the cabinets. Then we'll dive into the kitchen islands. But it also comes in handy in cases like this. So we can see right here that there's a bit of an overhang for this particular cabinet. If I don't want the countertop to cut into this cabinet, I can go down to the extended overhang. I'm going to go to the left side here, and I'll bring that down to 0. And then it's basically just going to butt it up against this cabinet instead of cutting into it. So you can just keep an eye out for that if you want to make any minor changes to your countertops. Now, the next thing that we're going to do here is if I go over to this design, you're going to see that I created a bit of a frame, like a built-in frame that the fridge can sit within, because I really didn't want to see the sides or the top of the fridge within this design. I wanted it to all feel like it was just kind of more built into the space. So to do something like that, if that's something that you're interested in, what you can actually do is you can use our custom object builder. So it's directly below the kitchen cabinets. If I go into custom objects here, I'm going to take this cube and I'm just going to click on it, and then I'm going to click on the floor plan, and it's going to be applied. Now here, what I need to do is I'm going to customize the size of this. So I want, let's say it's just going to be 1 inch wide, and I'm going to make the depth 24 inches to match the depth of the cabinets. And I'm going to make the height 84 inches to match the height of my cabinets. So I've got this thin piece here. Now, what I can do next is I can change up the material. So I'm going to make it match that teak finish. I'm just going to go into my recents and select it. And you can see what it looks like. So from here, I'm going to go into the floor plan mode because, again, I just find that it's easier for me to place things. And I'm going to put it right here up against my cabinets. And I can use the left, right arrows on my keyboard to get it into place. Now, what I'm going to do here is I actually already have a fridge that I'm going to be using for this particular design. So I'm going to bring it in here. But if you're looking for any sort of standalone appliances, appliances that are not built into cabinets, you'd find those in the product library. So if you want to look for a refrigerator, you'll just punch it in and you're going to see all the options that are available. And you can do the same thing for stoves or for hoods or anything else. So feel free to look in the product library for any of your appliances. Now, here, I'm just going to slide this fridge into place. And again, I'm just going to use the left and right arrows on my keyboard to get it nice and snug. And then I'm going to take that little thin piece of frame that I added, I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to bring it over here to this side so I can frame in the other side of the fridge. And then we'll go into the perspective mode and we'll see what this is starting to look like. So you can see how that's starting to frame everything in. And on this side, let's see if I can zoom out here. I'll have to come in through the top. There you go. You can see it out right here. So the last thing that I'm going to do here for this wall of cabinets is I'm actually going to add a cabinet above here as well. So I know that my fridge is 36 inches wide and I can see the height of it here. So my tall cabinets here, they're at 84 inches. So I'm basically going to look for a 12-inch high cabinet that is 34 inches or 36 inches wide. So I'll go into my kitchen cabinets here. I'm going to go into the wall cabinets and I'm going to scroll down until I see the bridge cabinets right down here. Now you'll see again, they're going to show up in order. So I can see all the 30-inch wide ones, and then I come down here, I can see all the 33-inch wide ones. So here I am with the 36-inch and the 12-inch high. So I'll just take this one and I'm going to bring it in. Now, if I go into my floor plan mode here, I'm just going to rotate this cabinet around and I'll pull this fridge out of the way just so you can see what I'm about to do here. I'm going to slide this one in. Now, when I slide it in, it does want to snap to the other cabinets over here. So if that's happening for you, remember, you can just use your left, right arrows on your keyboard to shift it over and get it into place. And in my case, I actually want this to sit at the front of the fridge. I don't want it to be tucked at the back where it's going to be impossible to get into this particular cabinet. I want it to be right at the front. So I'm going to add this in here. And then what I'll do is I'm just going to slide my fridge right back in. And then we'll get to, well, actually, one thing that you should be aware of, with this particular one, any of your wall cabinets, they're always going to default to 54 inches from the floor. I need this one to be higher. So I'm actually going to set it at 72 inches so that I know it's going to sit above the fridge. And now I'll go ahead and I'll slide this fridge right back in. Okay. So we're going to jump back into the perspective mode here and you can see the cabinet above. So now all I need to do is customize this one as well. I'm just going to select it, go to the frame finish here, click into the edit icon, click into recents, add that same teak finish. And then again, I can come down here to the hardware style and I'm just going to add in the same handle. Just like that. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to do here is for anybody who likes the idea of being able to kind of finish off the tops of your cabinets. If you want to create like a little decorative cap on it, if you ever have kitchen designs where you've got a bulkhead that is basically sitting above the cabinets and coming all the way to the ceiling, the next few steps that I'm going to show you will help you create designs like this. So whenever you're dealing with something like this, the first thing you need to know are a few key measurements. One, we need to know what the ceiling height is. So you can always click on the floor of your floor plan, and over here you're going to see what your ceiling height is. So I know I'm at 96 inches. I also know by clicking on this cabinet that my tallest cabinet is at 84 inches. So I've got a foot of space up here that I can play with. So in my design, what I ended up doing is I created a 9-inch bulkhead and then a 3-inch decorative trim, like a little cap that's going to sit over top of my cabinets just to finish them off. Now, the way that we would do this is by using the wall editor. So you click on the wall and you're going to click into this little edit icon and it's going to take you into the wall editor. But before I do that, this is just personal preference, but in this little gear icon, if you're having to deal with a lot of math and you don't want the measurements to show in feet and inches, but you just want it to show in inches, then you can always use the gear icon here and then you can switch over. So when I go into the actual wall editor, all of my measurements are just going to show in inches instead of me trying to think about it as feet and inches. Now, the next thing that I'm going to need to know here is, well, actually, maybe let's go ahead and we'll create that bulkhead. And then I'll come back and talk a little bit about some of the key things you need to know when you're going to add that little decorative cap finish on top of your cabinets. So we'll hit into the wall here. We're going to click Edit Surface. That's going to bring us into the wall. And in here, you're going to see over here on the right side panel that I can add any materials to the wall. I can add trim to the wall, and I can also add shapes. So I'm going to use the shape option. We're going to take this rectangular option here. I'm just going to bring this into focus so you have a nice large view that you can see. So I'll click on the rectangular option here. I'm going to click on one of the corners of my walls, and I'm just going to create one long rectangular box, and then I'll click to release it. Now, when I release it here, I'm just going to come over here. You can see that this is 9.5 inches. So I'm just going to click on the edge of this. I'm just holding down with the left button on my mouse, and I'm just going to bring it up until I have it at 9 inches. So now that I've got that, the next thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into the library over here. You can add whatever finish you want to your bulkhead. I'm going to go ahead and add a paint color. I'll go into the Benjamin Moore collection. And again, I'm going to go into recents because I already have specific colors that I'm using for this design. So I'm just going to click this white color here and apply it. Now, I want this bulkhead, and I'm just going to open up my 3D previewer here so you can see what's going to happen as I make my changes. So I'm going to make it, I basically want my bulkhead to come all the way out to match up with the edge of this wall. And this wall is at, I believe, 25 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in 25 inches here. So I'm going to extrude this shape out, and you can see how it popped out of the wall right there. So if I save this, you'll see what this design is starting to look like. So we've got this big bulkhead, and then I've got basically a little gap up here for where I'm going to finish this off with that decorative little cap trim for my cabinets. So the way that we would do this is, first things first, I need to get a sense of the measurements. So in this case, I have a cabinet here that is 30 inches wide and it's 24 inches deep. Now, it's 24 inches deep, but I also have to account for the thickness of the doors as well. So I'm basically going to make that little decorative cap extrude out 25 inches. So it'll be 30 inches wide and 25 inches deep. And then over here, I've got two 24-inch cabinets. So it's going to be 48 inches long or wide. And these ones are only 12 inches deep. So again, I'm going to make it 12 inches deep, but then I'm going to add an extra inch to account for the door thickness. So it'll be 13 inches deep. And then this one, I know I have a 36-inch wide fridge, but I also have an inch here and an inch here from the frame that I built out. So I'll do 38 inches across. And again, I'm going to do 25 inches deep so I can basically match up to the depth of the cabinet, including the doors. So here we go. So I'm going to go into the surface editor. I'm going to zoom right in, and I'm going to start my first one right underneath this bulkhead. So again, we'll take another shape, another rectangular shape. I'm going to click here, just drag this out, and I need this to be 30 inches. So I've got 30 inches here, but I need this to be 3 inches instead of 3¼ So we're just going to click and drag it up. And then I'm going to go into the wood library here, into wood textures. Again, you can browse through and pick any options you want, but always check out your recents if you just want to grab something that you've already used. Click to add it, and then click directly into the shape. So it'll look something like this. Now, in my case, I don't want the grain to go vertical. I want it to go horizontal. So over here, I've got a rotation option, and I'm just going to do 90 degrees to rotate the grain. And this is where I'm going to extrude it. So again, I'm just going to pull out my 3D previewer so you can see what this is about to look like. So here's the cabinet right here. You can see that little shape at the back of the wall, and I'm going to extrude this out 25 inches, and you'll see how it pops out into the design. And then we're just going to do the exact same steps for the other areas. So we're going to go back to the shapes, back to the rectangle, click right next to, basically you're clicking on the point of the previous one here. And this one, I'm going to extend it out 48 inches. And then again, into wood textures. For me, I'll go into recents. I'm going to select the teak option, and then I'm going to change the rotation to 90 degrees so the wood grain goes in the right direction. And this one I'll extrude out 13 inches because these were 12-inch cabinets. And again, if I open up my 3D previewer, you can start to see what that looks like. So the last one's right here. And basically what I'll do is I'll just leave my 3D previewer open so you can see what's going to happen here. Back to shapes, back to rectangle, click into the corner of the first or the last rectangular shape that I created. This one was going to be 38. And again, we'll go back into wood textures, into the recents, select the one that I've been using, apply it to the shape, change the rotation to 90 degrees, and extrude it out 25 inches. And you'll see it pop right out here. We're going to save this, and that's what it looks like. Not bad. Now, you do also have the ability to, let me just pop into some of the kitchen designs here. If you wanted to, you can actually also apply crown molding around your cabinets as well. So I'll touch on that towards the end of this presentation for anybody who wants to see that. So if this is something that you do want to see, just make a note in the feed, and then we can touch on that a little bit later. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to want to do here is you can see here that I've added a backsplash to this design. So I haven't done that here. So if I want to have a backsplash right here, I am going to go back into the wall. I'm not going to worry about finding the exact area where that rectangular space is. I'm just going to draw one giant rectangular shape here. And again, I can go into the texture library here. There's a lot of tile options. There's stone options. There's the marble slabs, concrete, whatever it is that you want to add. So you can go through, and then when you find the one you want, just select it, add it to the shape, and then save it. And you're going to see what it looks like within your design. Okay, so we've kind of gone through a lot of the capabilities when it comes to customizing the cabinets. So I think what we'll do now is let's jump over into creating some custom kitchen island designs. And then maybe what we'll do is we'll take a pause, see who has some questions, and then we can touch on some of the more unique scenarios that you guys want to cover, just so I'm making sure that I'm covering what you guys want to see within this presentation. So let's go ahead. We're going to start by building out a kitchen island. Now, when you're building out your kitchen islands, there's different ways that you can approach it. You can choose to, let's just go through a few of these designs right here. You could choose to build out your kitchen islands by using some of the base kitchen cabinets, and then also using the custom object builder so that you can create more custom structures, which is what I did here with this one. You can also choose to create your kitchen islands by just using the base kitchen cabinets and extending the countertop out the back so that you can create those areas where you'll have a sitting space. And then you can also choose to create kitchen islands just using the object builder. And you can create your own objects and apply different finishes to them. So there's different ways that you can go about it. Now, in this case, we're going to be doing a combination. So what I would do here is I'd actually start with the base cabinets, and I'm going to go down to the kitchen or the base cabinets that have the sink option added into them. So I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm actually going to take this one right here. Now, if I am going to determine where I want my kitchen island to be, I'm just going to pop into the floor plan mode so I can see everything top down. In my case, I want my kitchen sink to be kind of in line with the center of this countertop here. So I'm just going to basically get it into place here. Now, the other thing I want to do here is I want to define what the distance is between the edge of this cabinet and here. So what I could do is I can use the ruler tool, and I'm just going to click on the edge here, and I'm going to move this out. And if I want it to be, let's say I want it to be 42 inches, I'm going to click so I can leave this here. I'll be able to select the cabinet, shift it into place. So I've got everything lined up. And then what I'll do is now that I have that, I'm just going to close out of using this ruler so I can go back to the normal mode. So you can click here or you could hit escape. And now I can start adding in the other cabinets because I know that I've got this in the position that I want. So now I'm going to go up here to the other cabinets, and I'm going to take this one right here. We're just going to bring this in, and you'll see that it starts to snap into place. So I'll add one here, and I'm going to add one here. And then I'll go into the perspective mode, and we'll see what this looks like. So you can see how this is starting to come together. Now, from here, what I could actually do is, let's zoom in here, and you'll see here that I've got my sink and my faucet. If I want to customize my sink, I can click into this cabinet here, and in the right side panel, I'm just going to go all the way down to the bottom here, and you'll see that you've got your sink properties. So down here, you can do a single basin if you want. It'll look like this, or you can do your double basin. You can also do the undermount, or you can do a drop-in option for the installation, and you'll see how that changes the way it looks. And if you are going to be using a farmhouse sink, you're going to find that there's actually specific base cabinets that have the farmhouse built into it. So just look for those ones in the base cabinet library. Now, for any of the sinks that you add in, you always have the ability to also change out the finish as well. So if I wanted this to be black, then I can go ahead and I can add that in. And there's lots of different options available to you. So just have a browse through those. The other thing that you can do here is you can actually customize the faucets as well. So here, you're going to see that you've got your faucet library. And if you scroll through here, you're going to see that when you scroll through and hover over these, it's basically going to show you a large image of the actual faucet, and then you can select the one that you want. And the other thing that you can do here is I'm just going to close that up. You'll also be able to change the finish of the faucet as well. So again, if I wanted it black or gold or whatever the case may be, I can change it up. Now, the other thing that we're going to do here is let's go ahead and we can start customizing these cabinets so that we can build out this kitchen island. So I'm going to click on one of the cabinets. I'm going to hold down Shift. Again, if you're on a Mac, you'll hold down Command and then select the other cabinets. Now, what we'll do here is we're going to go straight into changing up the finish. So I'm going to click the little edit icon here. I'll go into Recents and apply the teak texture. And then I also have the ability to change out the hardware as well. So I would just go into these libraries and I'm going to scroll down here and select the same handle that I've selected before. Okay, and we'll do that again right here. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to extend the countertop out the back here so that we can create that area for the stools. So to do that, we're going to come down to the countertop option. I'm going to change out my countertop so that it also matches the other marble finishes that I have here. So I'll just go into Recents and add that. And then below that, this is where I'm going to extend the countertop. So I'm going to use the back option and I'm going to extend it out 14 inches. And you'll see what that starts to look like. So now that we've got that in place, the next thing that we're going to want to do here is we need to create the waterfall edges. To do that, I'm going to jump back into the custom objects. I'll take this cube again, select it, and add it to the floor plan. And when I'm using this cube, basically what I want to do is I'm just going to change out the measurements. So I want it to be the same thickness as the countertop here. So we're just going to add that in. And then I'm going to change the depth. So the depth needs to include the 1.5 inch overhang, the thickness of the actual cabinets and the overhang that you have here. So you can figure out what the depth is going to be. And then the height, I'm basically going to make this 35.75 inches. Now, the reason I'm picking that height is because I know that my base cabinets are 36 inches, including the countertop. So I want this to be tall enough, but not pop through the countertop. So I've just made it 1/4 inch less. Now here, I'm just going to add in my same marble finish. I'm going to go into the floor plan mode, slide this little piece over here. I'm just going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here. Now, I'm going to get it roughly in place. It might not be exact because I can't really tell where the overhang is for this, but I'm just going to pop into the perspective mode. So I've got it roughly in place here. And then what I can do here is I'm just going to look at this from the top down here, click it, and then I'll use my left, right arrows here to slide it into place and slide it up right there. So now we've got a nice waterfall edge. And then the other thing I can do here is if I want to do that for the other side, I'll go back into the floor plan mode here. I'm going to duplicate this piece And when I duplicate this piece, you're going to see that it snaps into place to match up with the other custom objects that I've added to this design. So it helps me line things up. And then again, I'm just going to slide this in here and we'll go into the perspective mode and we'll see what we've got. And that's actually not bad at all. So we can just stick with that. Awesome. Okay, so we've got our waterfall edges. Now what I'm going to do here is in this particular kitchen design, you can see that I added in a little bit of extra like thicker wood frame just to kind of bulk this out a little bit. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take another box shape, add it in. And in this case, I'm going to make it 3 inches thick. I'm going to make the depth 14 inches deep because that's how much we extended the countertop out the back. And for the height, I'm going to make it 34.5 inches. Now I'm making this 34.5 inches because I know that that's the height of the cabinet without the countertop added on top. So it'll just come right underneath my countertop. Now for the structural material, we're going to change this out. Again, I'm going to go into Recents and just apply it. I'll go into the floor plan mode here, and we're going to slide this into place, duplicate it, and slide it into place. And the fact that it kind of snaps to the other custom structures makes it really easy to line it up. So you can start to see what that looks like. Last piece that we're going to add here is the one that's going to go all the way across the top. I know that each of these 3 cabinets are 33 inches wide. So that means we've got a total of 99 inches, but I lost 3 inches to this and 3 inches to this. So I know that I'm going to make the width for this piece 93 inches. The depth, again, 14, because that's how much we extended out the countertop. And the height here, 3, because I want it to be the same thickness as this. I'm going to change up the finish again, go back into my Recents, and again, I'm going to change the rotation of the texture. I want it to go horizontally, just like that. So I'll pop into the floor plan mode. We're going to line this up. I'll just zoom in so you can see what's going on here. And here, I'm actually just going to rotate this up here. We'll use these arrows. Just slide it up. Just like that. So using the cabinets, the base cabinets, and the custom structure feature is really going to open up a lot of possibilities for you for the types of kitchen islands that you can create or different structures that you want to build into your designs. So definitely give that a try. And then from here, you can just go ahead and you can start pulling in any stools and light fixtures that you want to incorporate into your designs. So I had these stools right here. Slide them into place, and you can see how that starts to look. Okay. Now, maybe what I'll do here is I could stop the screen share for a minute. And if we want, let's just kind of get a sense from you guys for what you'd like to see next. What we could do is I can show you how you would add crown molding to your cabinets. I could also show you how you could create some curved kind of custom structures. So if you wanted to have kitchen islands that have a built-in curve, we can also talk a little bit about how you go about doing that.
Okay. Can you hear me, Sheilah? We are back.
Yeah,
okay,
I can hear you.
Awesome. All right, we are back. So are you saying, do you want to take some questions, or do you want to do like a little poll, have people vote on what they want?
Yeah, I guess maybe let's do a little bit of a poll just to see if we're covering the things that everybody wants to see. So I guess if anybody wants to see how to add crown molding to your kitchen cabinets, just go ahead and type a yay into the chat feed, and then we'll just see if we've got enough people that want to see it, and then we can move on to something else.
Okay, we're getting some more on the curved structures.
I had a feeling.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got curved structures, recessed lights, and then there earlier on was like floating shelves.
Oh, floating shelves. Yeah. Okay. So let's touch on, I've got a couple of designs where I've got some built out structures using the curved shapes, and I also have some floating shelves set up as well. So let's touch on those two.
So we are getting crown. So yeah, maybe we do we have time for the structures, floating shelves, and then crown?
Let's go for it. I'm sure we can do it.
Maybe we should do that instead of taking questions. Maybe we show those 3 things instead of I don't know if we have time to, like, because it's 10:45 my time. So I don't know if we want to get into questions or if we just want to show those 3 things and wrap
Maybe
up.
what we'll do is we can show those 3 things, and then if we don't have time for doing questions, I could follow up afterwards directly in the thread to answer any specific questions that you guys have.
Okay, that sounds like a good fit for this.
Okay, so let's go ahead. I'll jump back into the presentation mode here. Let's see. And then, Dayon, if you can let me know when our faces are gone so that the full screen is available, then that would be great.
Okay, we are gone. Full screen is on.
Okay, so I'm just going to close out this design here and save it. And then we'll jump into another one that has some floating shelves because that's going to be quick and easy to show. And then we'll go into the curved structures. So let's open up this one right here. Now with the floating shelves, you can actually just use the custom structure builder for those as well, because it's going to allow you to put whatever finish you want onto those floating shelves. So I'm going to jump into the perspective mode here, and we'll just give this one a minute to load in because it's a fairly detailed kitchen. And I'm going to take a sip of tea while I'm at it. Oh, goodness. Okay, so in this one, we have a few custom structures that were built out, but you can see the floating shelves right here. So the way that I did this, I'm just going to clear out the little decorative objects on this. And okay, so the way that I did this, let's go into the floor plan mode here. And I'll pull one of these out. So we'll just duplicate it. So this is literally just that box custom object. And then you basically change the size of it to whatever dimensions you want for your floating shelf. You'll be able to change out the finish using the structure materials. Again, you can use any of the materials here or any paint colors as well. You've got your paint color library. And then when you apply that finish, I'm just going to go into the perspective mode here. Here it is. So this was the floating shelf that I made here. Okay. So what you want to do is you're going to define what the overall height for your shelf is going to be. You can see that mine is 58 inches from the floor. So I'm just going to delete this one because if you wanted to, I'm going to get rid of this as well. Let's say that you wanted to create this sort of setup where you've got 3 that are stacked one on top of the other. So what you're going to do is you're going to define what the original one is going to be at. And then in your floor, so if mine's at 58, then in this, I'm going to go into the floor plan mode here and I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to get rid of this one as well. I'm going to duplicate this one. Okay. And I'm going to place it directly on top of the other one. And then from here, I would just add in the next distance up. So let's say I wanted it to be 12 inches up. So I'm going to set this at 70. And if I go into the perspective mode, you'll see that it's sitting just 12 inches up from the other shelf. So if I go back into the floor plan and I want to add a third one, I'm going to click here. You'll see it's at 70. I'm going to duplicate it again, add it directly on top. And then this one I would set at 82. And then if I go into my perspective mode, you're going to see that you've got your 3 floating shelves stacked up. So you're basically just using this box feature. You change it into whatever dimensions you want. You apply whatever finish you want to it using the structure material option. And then you're just changing the distance from floor for each of the levels that you want for all of your floating shelves. And hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so let's go ahead. And in this case, I'm just going to leave this one. I'll exit without saving it. Let's go into a different design here. So if you wanted to create something like this, right, you want to get a little bit more creative with your kitchen islands. Let's go into, I think I've got a design here for that as well. Here we go. We're going to open up this one. And I'll just let this load in and get another sip of tea. Okay, in this design, I just created 2 different kitchen islands here. So this one, if I rotate this around, you can see that this one is like this. So basically what I've done here is I've used the custom structures where I'm using the block shape and the cylinder shape. So if I go back into my design here and I pull this one apart, I'm going to lift this up. You can see that I had a countertop edge here. I had a narrower block underneath to create that area where these the stools can slide in. So we've got the narrow block here, and then we've got the wider countertop that's going to slide down and sit on top. And this was at, I think this was at 36 inches, was it? No, it's got to be lower than that. There we go. It's at 34 and a half. Okay. And then I think it's going to be easier if I just break this up to show you how it was kind of put together. So let's just slide this out. This was another case where we created a waterfall. Let's slide this one out. It's just pieces. So you can see here, I started with something that is basically this long shape here. Okay. So if I look at this particular counter, I'm basically creating the large block that's going to be this full length. All right. So that's what I'm starting with, which is this. Then what I ended up doing was I created my cylinder shape. Okay. If I go into the floor plan mode here, I'm basically going to pull this over so that my cylinder shape is coming to, it's basically meeting at the edge here. So my cylinder is coming around like this. Okay. And that's going to give me the curved edge for my countertop or for my kitchen island like that. Okay. And then what I needed to do was I needed to basically have the overhang here. So I added in an additional shape. So if I look at this one, you're going to see that this one is 34 and a half inches. My cylinder here is at 36 inches high. The reason my cylinder is a little bit different from a little higher up than this larger block here is because I need to add a wider piece to have that overhang. So I wanted to add it on top. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm going to jump into my floor plan mode. I'm going to take this piece right here. And again, I'm coming to the halfway point in this cylinder here. So this hard edge meets up with the side of my cylinder. It comes around, and then I have another hard kind of rectangular shape that's going to meet up on this side. And that's going to help give me the curve here, but I can get the straight edges on the kind of lengthwise and for the depth. So if I come back into my perspective mode here, I'm going to shift this one out of the way so that I can get in here to show you guys what's going on here. So at this point, oh, get this thing out of my way. There we go. Okay, so we've got our overhang here. We've got our long block. We've got curved edge that's coming around here. And the reason, and I just used the cylinder option, and I'm just defining what my diameter is and the height of my cylinder. Again, I'm applying any structural material that I want to it, okay? So I've got that all set up. Now, in this particular design here, you can see that there's another block, like another kind of straight edge here. So I've got straight, curve, straight, and then it indents and goes long. So in order to do that, that's what this other block here was for. So I'm going to bring this in again. I'll go into my floor plan mode, and I'm going to line this up. And again, my goal here is to make sure that this edge lines up with the outer edge of this cylinder shape, okay? So I'm just trying to match everything up. So now I've got almost all of this ready here because I've got the curve that's coming around, the straight edge, it's indenting, it's going long. So all I need to do now is to account for this little lost piece here because my section, my original section wasn't the full, what do I want to call this? You know what? Sorry, guys. I just had a little bit of a brainwave here. I wanted to just test something out here. I don't know why I didn't do that to begin. Let me just try something. Yeah, that was a waste of, I'm adding extra shapes in here that I didn't even need to add. So we've actually simplified this. Okay, so we've got our cylinder. We've got this little block here that's right next to it so that we get that kind of straight, where's my design here? We get this straight section right here. We've got our cylinder. We've got another block here, okay? So we've got our full long one that goes all the way along the back. We've got this little fat one that's kind of crossing over so that we can add this shape in. We've got our cylinder corner. We added a top one so that we can get the overhang for this countertop. So that's going to come down. And then all we needed was this piece right here that's going to basically be the waterfall edge. So you just kind of have to think a little bit about how you're going to use the custom objects to create those shapes. Sometimes you're just going to have to kind of think through how many of these objects I'm actually going to need to build this out. In my case, I actually found out that my original design was more complicated than it needed to be. Because if I just created a long rectangular shape at the 36 inches high here, and then make sure it matches up with that outer point of the cylinder and make everything 36 inches high, then I can just put on the larger cap so that I have the overhang for the actual countertop, and this is where the stools would slide in. And then in this case over here, we're basically doing the same thing. So if I take this one apart, I'm just going to slide this out. That's just one little circle, like one tiny little cylinder. And then here, I've got this little piece here because I needed it to match up with the cylinder. And this is just one large countertop piece. This base right here is just a cylinder, and I've added it to another rectangular shape. So I'm just piecing things together so that I can get the look that I want. There's quite a lot of there's a lot of options that are built into the custom objects that can help you really create custom shapes for any of the types of kitchen designs that you want to build. It's just a matter of thinking about, how am I going to account for those little curved edges? And really you'd be using the cylinders and then figuring out how you're going to apply the straighter edges to them so that you can create those rounded corners, but still have it continue on down for a long countertop. So hopefully that makes sense. Maybe what I'm going to end up doing here is creating a separate video that really goes through using the cylinder options for the custom objects in depth and the different ways that you can approach it so that you can create more kind of custom curved kitchen designs like these sort of options that you're seeing on the screen right now. Okay. Maybe I'll stop sharing for a second here and see if anybody has questions about like how to approach the curved shapes.
Okay, let's see. I don't see anything specifically on the curved shapes. And then just a reminder to everybody, Sheilah's going to take some time to go through the comments and give answers to things that weren't covered. Let's see, corbels. What's corbels?
Well, I guess first, should we quickly just go over the crown molding? And then I think we're kind of getting close to time here. So maybe what I'll do is at that point, I can go through and I can just see if I can answer anybody's questions directly within Facebook.
Okay. Yep, okay. Some crown requests.
Crown requests. All right, here we go. Let's open up this one. Am I still sharing my screen?
No.
Okay, 1 second
here. Oh yeah, we do have a couple questions on corbels, so I don't know if that's possible to.
Okay, let me know if we're good to go and our faces are off.
Yes, good to go.
Okay. I'm going to let this kitchen load in here for a second. Now, in the first design that we created in this session, I talked a little bit about how you can add bulkheads and kind of creative decorative caps to finish off the tops of your cabinets. So it's essentially the same process, except that when you're using the wall editor, so you can see here, I've got my cabinet. what I did is I went into the wall editor and I created this little block shape that's going to sit above my cabinet so that it could basically extend up to the ceiling. And then because I added that block shape in the wall editor, you can actually wrap crown molding around any of the shapes that you extrude out from the wall. So if we edit this design here, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to open this up, the 3D previewer. Okay, we'll move this up. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to remove the crown molding from this wall, and then we'll add it back in. So you can basically go into trim, go into crown molding, and I'm going to remove it. When I remove it, you're going to see that it disappeared from this area right here, and it's also been removed from the actual 3D previewer. So now you can see, here's my cabinet, and this one over here. And above each of these, they've got these block shapes, which are right here. So this is a case where I just created a rectangular shape above the cabinet, and I extruded that shape out to the distance that I needed. So in this case, it was 13 inches. Now, if I want to add crown molding around all of these, after I've added these block shapes above my cabinet, if I go back to the main wall editor view here, and I just want to maybe close this down a little bit. So you can see the block shapes. I'm going to go back to the trim. I'm going to select any of the crown molding options, and you'll see different options that are available. Select the crown molding. You're going to see that it automatically gets applied to the design here. And if I open this back up, you're going to see how it starts wrapping around all of those blocks that I added to this particular wall. So it allows you to wrap it all the way around all of your cabinets, and you also have the ability to change out the finish of your crown molding. So you would click into the trim finish here. And again, you have all these libraries. So you can pick whatever finish you want. In my case, I'm just going to select one of the white colors that I used for my cabinets. So I'll click it, and it's automatically going to apply that color to the crown molding. So this little area right here is the crown molding. It just looks like a flat rectangular shape because we're just in the wall editor, but you can see in the 3D previewer how it's showing. If I didn't want the crown molding to wrap around my cabinets, if I click on the actual cabinet shape here, you'll see that it says add trim to shape. So you can actually hide it. So you would take this and you would turn it off, and you're going to see how it popped it off. If you want to make sure that it shows, you're just going to allow for the trim to be wrapped around any of the block shapes that you add to your wall. And that's how you wrap it around your cabinets. And hopefully that answers your questions. Okay, my throat is starting to give out. So I'm thinking that maybe if it's okay, I'll pause here, and I will absolutely follow up, and I will answer any questions that you guys have directly within Facebook. But I'm feeling like I'm not going to last much longer. So if that's good, then maybe we can wrap it up for here.
I just realized that I was muted. Great job. Thank you so much. Yes, go have lots of tea. And yeah, people are very excited about these new features. And then Betsy has dropped the link in there earlier. Maybe we can get that dropped in there one more time. If anybody wants to schedule their 30-minute demo to go over these things, one-on-one. And we'll get to the questions later. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely make use of that free demo option. Okay, you guys, you've got plenty of ladies that you can reach out to. They're going to be able to walk you through any questions you have about using the new kitchen functionality within the 3D floor planner. So be sure to go ahead and click on that link. And thank you so much for joining. I'm sorry I'm not at my best today, but I didn't want to cancel. I wanted to make sure that we were able to move forward with this. So hopefully you got some good information out of this, and some good tips that you can use for building out your own custom kitchen designs.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you guys, and feel better.
Thank you. Bye.